Morning, my friend. Excited to talk to you. We'll be diving into your new Cat Stevens cover in a minute. But before that, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passions. Where'd your passion for music kind of come from? Was it a certain album you heard, certain live performance, or something that was just natural for you as a child?
Definitely, I think it was something that was natural for me as a child. It was something that my parents were always, my dad especially was always listening to that kind of singer-songwriter music.
Hmm.
My mom was much more into classical music, and she was an influence on me to play violin very early. When I was a very little kid, I was like 3 or 4 years old. I started on a Suzuki method for violin, and then chamber orchestra and stuff as a kid. So that was that influence from mom, who was a classical music DJ at a radio station in Carmel, Monterey. And dad was like an acoustic guitar player who was more into singer-songwriters from his generation, which would be like the 60s and 70s. And so that's definitely where I saw T for the Tillerman LPs and like different collections, of his like I don't know, most iconic singer-songwriter records, like actual physical record collection.
Wow, very cool. You have a very interesting backstory with kind of returning to music. You basically had your daughter was born, and I'll just let you explain it because it's really hard, you know. That
Well, yeah, it is very difficult for
yeah,
anyone to explain, but I'm gonna try to break it down for the audience really quick.
yeah.
It's also very easy to read the whole. The New York Times did like a 100,000 page article about it last month, and so you can Google that. But
Very fascinating. So yeah, I'll let you take it.
it's an interesting story, and it definitely led me back here, like kind of full circle,
Mhm.
because in 2019, after 15 years of culmination, I had my second song on the radio, and it was climbing the charts, and in the formal record label way. I finally had a record label backing you and putting money behind it, and it happened to be, it was a duet, and it was with Christina Perri, which also gave it some credibility. And so it was doing well, and it was time for me to go to work and get on the road and start promoting it, going to the DSPs, going to the radio stations. And our daughter was born, and I was supposed to go right after she was, maybe like a couple weeks after she was born, I was supposed to head out. And when she was born, I never quite got around to doing any of that because the first couple weeks I was just falling in love with my newborn baby girl. It was our second child.
Mhm.
And doing feeding, like, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning feedings. My wife is completely in love. Everything's fine. Um, until I started suspecting that because we did IVF, I had these like really dark internal thoughts of like maybe she's not ours, or maybe she's not, maybe there was a mistake made or something. Only because she started to more and more not look anything like us, and she ended up being of Asian descent, of Asian heritage, and it was it wasn't until I started hearing it from other people, like my best friend, family members, my mom. People started saying these things to me, so I never quite got back on track or got back on the road. That song just died. It just didn't go anywhere because I was too busy handling business at home, trying to figure out what the hell happened here with this IVF mistake. And, you know, long story short, we launched an investigation, and we knew we risked losing her by doing that. But at the same time, and as in love as we were with our child, we felt like we couldn't just kidnap her and keep her forever and not tell her what happened. Like someday she's going to ask us, "Hey guys,
Yeah.
why don't I look like you guys?" And we'd like, "Well, we just wanted to keep you." Like, that's not cool. And I'm laughing about it now. It's been 5 years, but like the truth is, at the time, it was earth-shattering. I mean, we really thought there was no good decision to be made. There was no good choice. It was either do wrong by your daughter or do right by your daughter and risk losing her, which ultimately ended up happening. They found her parents, biological parents, that is, and it turns out that her biological parents had given birth to our biological daughter through IVF, through a one-for-one mistake. And so, Never happens. You've probably never heard of it before. I don't think it's ever happened
Oh, I
quite that
know.
way.
I was like, what? It
Yeah,
That's like 1 in a million, I guess,
I
chance.
don't think it's ever quite happened that way. We hear, in the zeitgeist, you've heard of mistakes here and there, but I was never aware it was even a possibility. It's not like something they put in the paperwork where it's like, there's this chance that a mistake can happen. It's not even talked about, right? So that's another reason why it was so hard to get through the denial of it at first, because we were kind of like, no, there's no way. She's ours, and genetics are weird, and it's fine. And so I got back to it to get back here 5 years later.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like 5 years because everybody kind of, I just saw my wife walking in the background. Everybody kind of, lost a couple of years there. At the time that I was going through that was early 2020 when we decide, well, collectively as two families, we decided to sort of merge the two families so that we could so we didn't have to lose completely each other's
Yeah.
birth child or genetic child. So we switched children in the sense that we rehomed them. And then we had our biological daughter, they had their biological daughter, but we sort of especially because it was early 2020, we sort of podded, and we kind of just spent that year just only seeing each other, which was really kind of amazing. And then after time goes by, you realize this is just normal and this is your new family. And it's just after so many birthdays and holidays, and, it's just kind of became family. And so I don't feel like we're the only ones that lost time. Kind of stopped for a couple years for the world. So It doesn't feel like a full 5 years. It feels like I took a couple years off, but I was inspired to come back by the last year, man, of just, I don't watch the news anymore. I can't deal with it, but it's
Same.
all,
It's hard.
it's all BS. Like, no matter what side, like, I just started to feel like a man I started to feel politically homeless, because I felt like all the different sides and all the different media were all just attacking each other, not hearing each other, and disrespecting each other's beliefs and demonizing each other. It was so bad. I was like, there
Amen.
is no,
Yeah.
it's gotten so divisive that divisive isn't even a word for it. And that's, I think, what inspired me ultimately was after the election, it hit sort of critical mass. And I was like, man, this song, if I could bring it back, and if I could like do it justice, maybe it could inspire a similar message from 50 years ago, just now,
Absolutely. I've never heard of it before. I first listened to it. I was like, wow, this is a great song. And then I look at the thing. I'm like, oh, it's a cover of Cat Stevens. And I was like,
Yeah.
kind of like perfect for today right now, actually. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. Except the original is a time capsule of the song from then. So it doesn't work now. Like the translation, if you played the original 71 version to my wife, keep walking back and forth. If you played the 71 version to anybody under the age of, I don't know, 40, it's not going to land right. It's not going to connect in the same way, because it was recorded, that the style of the recording and the style of the performance is very like a time capsule. It's very much in that time period. And so I was like, if you could modernize that message, or modernize the production, or modernize just make it more of but keep the original intent and the original messaging from, Mr. Stevens. And then try to, sort of bring it out again. And so I tried, and I felt like we did a pretty good job. It was produced by like my best friend. His name's Morgan Taylor Reed. He's an amazing producer in town here. And we kind of just took a stab at it, and I think it turned out all right.
no, it turned out great. And I love the music video it did for it too. So
Hmm.
Thank
you. Yeah, that was interesting.
Across,
We just did that in a loft downtown. You can like rent loft spaces,
Yeah.
downtown, and it was kind of nice that it was just this dingy, dirty loft space. It ended up working, I think, for the video.
I agree. Absolutely. I still love the art form that is music videos. I mean, I kind of grew up in that in the 90s, but you know,
Me too. Yeah, dude, totally.
I know it's not like it used to be, but still, I still enjoy the art form, you know.
I am the 90s inside. That's everything I listen to still. I make 90s playlists for myself, and I think it's still 1998, and so.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, you've definitely gone through a lot the last 5 years. I feel like you must have a lot of emotions that you can kind of into an album or something, or EP at least, or is
You know
this
what?
just
You're not
starting
wrong.
this
Yes,
cover?
that you're
Matches
absolutely
coming back, you know?
you're completely right. Your intuition is correct. There are probably maybe 4 songs in that vein recorded, in different stages. Some of them are more finished than others. One of them still needs, a bridge and some production. But overall, the ideas are there of that. So the idea was to make that EP or LP or whatever it's going to end up being, um, from that history. And so I started writing songs about what it was like, those weeks between knowing that we were probably going to lose our baby girl, but we didn't know about our genetic daughter yet. All we had been told in those weeks were,
Yeah.
we think we found her genetic parents, and that was like kind of all we heard for weeks until they started putting together and reaching out to the other family and realizing they had a baby. All of that took so long in that investigation that there was just a period of time where we were in limbo, and that was kind of hell. It was a different kind of hell. And so I started writing from that place. And so there's a couple of really sad songs like from there, and then there's one that I'd like to think of as kind of like a love song to my wife about how we came together and were kind of like each other's rock through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of a love song to baby girl for
Can't wait
a
to
sentiment to her. So yeah, I think it'll end up coming together. I don't know when. Maybe this year, hopefully.
Well, that's the beauty of everything. And probably there's no time period you have to have it done by, so you can take your time,
That's right. I'm no longer under the thumb of the major label system. And I'm free to do what I want. And at the same time, it's interesting. Everybody's been telling me, this story, it doesn't age. It's always going to be there. People have been telling my story. It was on the cover of People magazine in 2021. It was on the cover of the New York Times a couple months ago, and there's been a lot of PR in between. People keep wanting to write about it and talking about it since we went public with it, because we went public with our lawsuit. And so I feel like the story it's kind of unique, and so it's not really going anywhere. It's always just going to be kind of hanging around.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking your time to talk to me and going through that up and downs of that whole experience. I mean, that's insane. But it looks like you guys are stronger together now, and like you have like a whole new family element because of it, which is nice. So
yeah, absolutely. There's a new normal.
So in the meantime, everyone can check out your cover of Peace Train. I'm going to have all your social media links down below. Anything else in the works that we want to talk about before I let you go?
Put me on the spot. I don't think so. I think I think Peace Train is the focus right now, only because of, I think it's very timely. And I think that there will be some kind of follow-up album about my journey, whether it is tied to a film or a documentary. It could happen. Who knows? All those things are kind of up in the air.
Documentary would be cool. I like that. So
yeah.
Awesome, my friend. Well, thank you so much. And let's talk down the road when you release the album. All right.
Yeah. I'll definitely keep you posted. Thank you guys for having me.